So you got a new album coming out.
Sure do. Death Melody's pretty excited to have it out. Kind of can't wait for people to kind of finally get to hear it and kind of see the evolution from what was the first album to the second. Pretty excited about it.
Yeah, the first album. Obviously you guys have quite the pedigree and a lot of experience behind all of you. And the first album sounds like that experience. It doesn't sound like a new band as far as oh, you're trying to figure out who you are or whatever. Like it sounded extremely strong right off the bat. And so I'm excited about the new album and see where you guys take it. And what do you think, um, from the first album to now? What do you think will be a little bit different musically?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the first album, you kind of got five guys coming in together, all with previous experience with bands like we had, um, and we were kind of melting together and figuring out what Kill the Lights was, and I think Death Melody is Kill the Lights kind of figuring out what we are, like the overall sound now, it's not five dudes from five other bands, it's its own entity, and if anything, I hope people now it's like it's got it carries its own weight, I think it's kind of defined kind of who and what we are now and gives us a platform to kind of move on to be its own thing.
Right now, how did you guys come together?
Initially, so we'd all previously toured together throughout the years. Uh, Jordan was still in Reigns he toured with Bullet, and Trav had toured with Rat Segler and kind of hit everybody really through that as well. And Chris Clancy, who was the engineer slash producer, he knew Travis as well. So it was kind of a matter of putting the puzzle together a little bit. I'd through my old band toured with Moose. And he actually put a random post on Facebook, actually, is what it was, and was just saying, "Hey, does anybody know any good singers?" And I was like, "Well," I shot my private message. I'm like, "I know a singer, but so but I didn't know, what the project was for, honestly, you know what I mean? I didn't know he wasn't working with Bullet anymore. So he's actually said it's a project I'm working on with Jordan, and let me send you a couple of tunes, feel free to put something to it. It was very casual, and the first song I wrote, a demo, was The Faceless. So, and that kind of stayed pretty close to the original. So, kind of went from there and escalated and kind of added more guys and started writing. And next thing you know, we're in the studio writing an album.
Love it.
Yeah, it's amazing how it worked, right? I mean, obviously what we had to do, kind of the getting your record deal, the excitement of everything, all the build up for it, and then the first pandemic to hit the world in 100 years. So, for us, that was, well, for me personally, it was a difficult pill to swallow, in the sense of the expectation and excitement around it, and just kind of the thoughts about getting out there and touring. And so for this, Death Melody is really our first chance to really get out and see the fans, experience the fans, meet the fans, get our music out there and play it. You know what I mean? So we're excited about this cycle of things where we can do that.
Absolutely. I can only
Yeah.
imagine. uh
Yeah.
you guys all live in different places, right?
Yep. So we've got two guys in Wales. We've got Jordan, Michigan, Travis in Texas, and myself in kind of Minneapolis, Wisconsin area.
So when were you first able to get together, and have like your first real band rehearsal?
Yeah, so we've always been good at kind of figuring navigating through things. I mean, even through COVID, we flew to Canada to do a writing session for a week, right? So we went to Windsor, across the border, and we could all meet there. So we'd spend a week there, and we had writing sessions here. But everybody would fly out. We obviously did pre-production and some writing when we were back pre Death Melodies album starting. So we did a good job balancing writing on our own and sending it around and doing the songs, and then in clusters of people and also as a group. So it just works for us. It's the only way we've kind of known how to do it. So for us, it's normal. Obviously we need to, when we have tours coming up and different things, we need to get together and practice more frequently and quite a bit ahead of time just to work through stuff. We all practice on our own, but so it's not your conventional band practice where you'd practice twice a week, which we're all kind of used to. So that takes a bit of navigating and kind of figuring out. But besides that, it's been pretty smooth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
um, so during COVID, um, what was keeping you active during that time? Not necessarily musically, just in general. Like what was?
Yeah, I mean, I'm married with kids, so it just keeps you active anyway. But it's it was a battle, you know, and when we kind of get into kind of the lyrical content of this album, it's some of that is reflected in what COVID created and what it did, and you know, the mental health, stress, and anxiety, and depression, and all those things that came with it for many people, right? It kind of created a situation, a forced situation for many people that was kind of crap and forced families apart and stopped people from seeing each other for years. And all my family are in England, so I mean, I literally didn't see my family for 2 years, you know. So you know, but it also at the same time was some positives came out of it, and it forced people to spend more time with the family and appreciate the small things and have time together. So there were benefits for it, but again, I think that was a battle for everybody. I think, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully we don't have to do anything like that again anytime soon. You know,
Yeah, but that'd be the plan. Touch wood, right? So, but yeah, I mean, you know, you talk about artists and musicians, right? Worst possible time. I mean, live shows. I mean, everything shut down. I mean, so it forced us to write and work on tunes, but again, it wasn't great. But anyway, we're over it now. So live music is back. Amazing.
well, when does your touring begin?
So April 19th is the first show in Cardiff, starts the European tour. We have some 9 UK dates, and then go across Europe, Netherlands, Czech Republic, Germany. So hitting some spots I've never hit before. Just really excited about it. You know, all the rooms are 300 cap rooms. I don't know, I'm not sure about your vibe, but like just that underground, sweaty, awesome vibe. That's always been my favorite shows to go to.
Absolutely.
Some of my favorite shows to play. And again, it's just super exciting. We're all excited about it. We've all been looking up the venues and we're like, oh, this is gonna be a fun one, you know. So
So not just with this band, but in general, who would you just absolutely love to tour with that you
it
haven't?
came out. Yeah, I had that question the other day, and I kind of think where we're at, like we could kind of we could kind of cover multiple areas of that, right? Like, I mean, so my musical listening is all over the space, but let me think here. Um, I mean, I'll throw it back. I mean, I'd go to like a Testament vibe. I would love to tour with Testament. I love that band. Um, but even like Rise Against, or I'm throwing it back again, like Rage Against the Machine would be a thing, you know. Again, not necessarily as a blend for our music, but just as a band that I've looked up to and love, and just kind of just think they, you know, carry their own space. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of a three there. But I mean, my list would go on and on, right? You know, there's hundreds of bands there, you know, but Megadeth, Metallica, the list would literally go on. But like I said, I think my because just where my musical listing is, I'd have probably a list of 30 completely random bands I would love to tour with.
I like that you said Testament and then Rise Against because I could totally see Kill the Lights playing with either of them, you know, and not that you have like a punky sound, but you know, Rise Against, they even though they're like a good balance between punk and like hard rock in a way, melodic rock. That's also you guys, you know. So I
Yeah.
got that little balance there. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at where we are as, and I mean, you could have a conversation with Moose for about 4 days about old school punk, right? I mean, that's his jam. So it really comes down to kind of our overall influences and what we grew up with too, you know, and bands we were in. So my previous band was um, a little bit more less metal, I suppose, right? A little bit more melody, a little bit more mainstreamy. Um, and I think kind of where we've managed to blend it is like I don't necessarily have a straight metal mindset, and that's okay, is maybe what creates a little bit of difference for us. And I maybe when I hear a song for the first time, I'm not like, oh, this has to be straight scream over this thing, or this has to be this. And I think where I feel like we've done well is we haven't kind of pigeonholed ourselves into writing the same 12 songs, you know. Some bands do that and do a phenomenal job at it. For us, it's like, hey, we want to kind of just write what feels good to us, just and explore and try different things while keeping it still. And we'll always be a metalcore band,
Right.
but I think we have the ability to stretch it to a like Sleep the Devil kind of ballad-esque vibe, but also to all the other way to the side to a blast beat, kind of thrash tune, And I hope fans. I mean, as a fan myself, like as I listen to albums, I love the kind of journey through an album, right? I want dynamics. I want to hear what the band can do, and I want the band to evolve. I don't necessarily always want the band to change to the genre by any means, but I want the band to kind of show me what you got. You know what I mean?
For sure. Um, so you early on, you did a couple covers. You did a Testament and Metallica song. What are some other possible covers that you guys could do in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's we kind of brought it back to the roots of what we grew up on and loved. I would love to do a I would love to do a thrash kind of EP or something like that as a mixtape kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Release it on tape. I think that would be sick.
Yeah,
Um, and then or even do something that would be a modern tune in the form of a thrash song. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like just something completely off. I know it's kind of hard because a lot of things have already been done, and I think it's easy to make a cover song sound like shit, but at the same time, it's really hard to find something that's not been done, but people are like, oh, that's a jam right there. So, like I said, I think there's a lot of scope to be able to do some really cool things within that, and just kind of it's. Or we also fun to do a nod back to our influences, you know what I mean, and kind of remember what got us and metal as a community to this space. And I think as music is evolving right now, um, that kind of more modern sound is wonderful. I think what we're trying to do is blend the new with the old
yeah,
and take take those influence and kind of take our hat off to that and go, hey, we love the grandmasters of thrash and everything with it and metalcore, and the guys in my band were kind of an intricate part of that. But how do we twist that and make that feel fresh and new whilst at the same time, yet again, kind of reflecting on the old?
love it. Good answer. How long have you lived in the States or in Minneapolis?
Yeah, so I came out here for college, what did a year, high school, college, came on my own. So about 20 years, just over 20 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if I went to Minneapolis, where would you recommend that I went? Whether it's for food or history or anything.
So I live just across the border. So I'm actually officially in Wisconsin, but I'm 25 minutes away from Minneapolis. So I would bring you out on the St. Croix River because that's where I have my boat and it's absolutely gorgeous. And you could take the St. Croix and it connects you go all the way down south, but has beaches all the way along it. And on a beautiful summer's day, you cannot beat just floating on a boat, hanging out, drinking a beer, and doing a little fishing.
This sounds awesome.
Yep.
I would love to do
It's
that.
like I say, it's a little cold right now. We haven't got a ton of snow this year, but the other thing is, which is crazy, and again, a guy coming from England, that river and lakes freeze over here, and people drive their cars on it and go ice fishing. So if you've never seen or done that, it's like a craziest thing that you would drive a car and drill a hole and just sit there. You know what I mean? Like to me, mentally, that does not make sense, but it happens and people do it, and I've done it, and we'll sit there and drink a beer, and so that's pretty cool too. But I mean, the other thing is, it's having like snowmobiling, all the skiing, all the stuff is within 10 miles of my spot here as well, you know what I mean? and also within 25 minutes of the city. So, like I say, the music scene in Minneapolis is pretty good too, and like there's tons of arts and entertainment there. I went to for the first time. It's called Can Can. It's a old school throwback gaming space. There's about 400 pinball machines. There's like every old school arcade game you could ever imagine in there, right? And it's
Awesome.
$14 to get in, and it's unlimited all night. And they have 35 craft beers on tap, gourmet kitchen. Just, I mean, if you like anything old school throwback arcade pinball, like I was like, what is this mecca here? Like I can't believe I didn't find it. So that would be probably the spot we go to. You know what I mean? If we're gonna do something in the cities too, that's super fun. So that was crazy. Did that last night. It's a great time.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something I want to go to.
Yeah, I tried that. There's like 35 different types of beer. I wanted to mix it up a little bit. And I am a fan of pickles. I love Bloody Marys, right? But there was this pickle beer. So they do it in ounces, so you pay by ounce. But I tried about 2 ounces of this pickle beer, and it was not the jam. I was like, I was quickly done with that. That was not olives in beer, maybe, but pickle is not it. But I found a couple of good ones, so it was a good time.
I love
Yeah, yeah.
it. So what took you to coming from England? Like, why that area, the up north?
Yeah, it's funny, I had a scholarship, so I played soccer, and so it was really for a year of high school. I was kind of you can consider it an exchange student, but kind of a scholarship at the same time. I played hockey too, but yeah, soccer was my jam. So initially I'd put down when I'd applied for it, they said we'll guarantee you go to California, just put all four down. Your top picks is California, and so when I got my placement, it was Mound Westonka, Lake Minnetonka. And I'm like, whereabouts in California is that? They're like, that's not, that's in Minneapolis. I'm like, that's where are the palm trees there then? They're like, oh no,
Yeah,
no palm
definitely
trees.
not.
No palm trees. So, and my stepsister at the time had been there as a nanny in Plymouth, Minnesota, like 2 years previously, and left after about 4 months and came back and was like, whatever you do, never go to Minneapolis. It is a hellhole. It is cold. It's a frozen tundra. So I was like, oh, great. That's where I'm going. Perfect. So 20 years later, here I am.
Well, it can't
Uh,
be all that bad, huh? If you've been there for that long.
no, I mean, to be honest, we live just like I say, just outside, just across the border. It's absolutely beautiful, beautiful small town, right on the river. Great schools, great people, great community, um, great little breweries and wineries and all the good stuff. So it's perfect.
Especially, again, you're still close to everything, and not just Minneapolis, but all in that area. You got Detroit and Chicago, and it's all like not
Yeah,
too far away. So yeah,
yeah. Like I said, it's perfect. It's close enough to get to places, but far enough away that I don't have to deal with people, which is great.
yeah. I just so I've only been in Florida since November. I came from Las Vegas, and I was there for like 20 years, kind of like with you, and eventually just got to the point where it was like, yeah, I'm ready for something else. And
Yeah,
like the population there is hitting almost 3 million now, and where I am now, like I'm 10 minutes from the ocean, and there's only 500,000 people here, and a little bit more low key. There's a lot of rural area, a lot of countryside and all that, but yet I'm still like in a decent enough area that there's still enough going on, and there's still
yep.
the music scene and all that. So good little change, and I'm happy about it. So what was the first concert that you ever attended?
First concert was I snuck. No, actually, I didn't. The second one, I'll tell you a funny story about the second one. But the first one was I saw Korn on the opening debut album with Incubus opening. And Incubus were a just released Fungus and Mungus, I believe, was their first ever EP
Hmm.
when Brandon had his big dreads and so it was those two bands. I can't remember who the opener was, but it was at Rock City in Nottingham. And I think I was 14 or 15. So we took my hometown's Peterborough, so we took the train down. Kind of, it's one of those scenarios where you go to the first concert, train down there. super young, no parents, obviously, and it was kind of in the winter and completely sweated. And just had one shirt on, and then you come out soaking wet, and it's freezing, and then we're trying to get like the 1 o'clock train back, and you're like shivering and all that good stuff. But the second one was we kind of I kind of snuck out, I think, and said I was staying at my buddy's scenario. We went down to London, and that was to see White Zombie.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so White Zombie was my second ever concert. And I think the third was Deftones. Deftones, I think, was number three. I think that was on their Round the Fur album, which is also phenomenal. Like I think that was like a maybe a Rock City or like 1,000 cap room, so it was pretty sick. So yeah, that was kind of my early, I'm like where I grew up in Peterborough. There was a little underground scene. I joined my first band when I was 16, and but I kind of got into bands like Downset and some underground bands at the time that kind of Downset were kind of one of the pioneers that influenced kind of your PODs and influenced kind of your Limp Bizkit kind of vibe things, kind of an earlier sense. But I was into like Propaganda, bands that were kind of just punk bands too, like a bunch of hard. So we'd go to a lot of hardcore fests, underground stuff too. That was pretty sick. So it was a really kind of cool scene. And we had my hometown was just a couple spots that had live music, and it'd be a great spot. It was like an arts area that had a once a month would do kind of a metal night kind of thing too. And this is the time when kind of the grunge scene was kind of at its peak, and uh, uh, it was fun. You got 14, 15-year-olds kind of learning and experiencing and sharing kind of music. It's not always a space for that right now, which is a shame. You know what I mean? But I just definitely had some of the best friends I made was through kind of some of those shows and hanging. One of my best friends still is from those early days doing that. So it's just like I say, if you talk about the metal rock slash community, it is a community, and you have enduring friendships over 20 years, and it's through music. It brings people together.
100%. And
Yep.
the 90s within the metal community anyway, it seems like the 90s seems like it doesn't get a lot of love, but man, the 90s were a fun time, and a lot of experimentation with all the genres, and obviously the alternative metal and new metal and all that, and death and black and thrash, like that was all still totally happening. So it's like I don't know what they're
Yeah, I
complaining
mean
about.
those genres you're talking about were always like they've always maintained this level right now. They kind of come in and out of much greater, notoriety, right? But they've always like some of these bands that is brilliant that are still not totally mainstream, right? But have managed to have a 30-year career just doing it's just phenomenal. And it
Absolutely.
goes to show that it stands the test of time right now. Other stuff like you got your rap rock kind of stuff right now that's kind of coming back, I think. But with the Limp Bizkits and all of that, but or new metal, should I say? But like it's brilliant to see these bands that have stood the test of time and have had a career their entire life, for 30 years. And you if you don't know, you don't know, but they've managed to make a great living doing it and get through everything. And again, it's just good music's good music.
Yeah. And I'm sure no one imagined Corn being around for 30 years, but they're still as popular as
Yeah.
they've ever been. you know,
I mean, the demand's there, right? The demand is there. So, they've been a band that's, they've never really diversified too far from what they do, but they keep putting music out, and it's still good. So they've kind of captivated that audience and kept them. So but yeah, it's like, you look at Slipknot too. They're still putting music out. They're doing, they're still selling out arenas. So there's definitely the bands that do that. Now, some of those early bands, they they had the support and help of selling millions of records because that's what the industry did, and you had major label pushes then and major label money. So I'd be interested to see like bands that are kind of emerging in the last 5 years here. Can they be a band for 25, 30 years based on what the market does for it now? And I think there are bands that are going to do that, but I think it's not quite the same as the ability and financial push that bands had back in the 2000s, right? Like
absolutely.
bands that are filming a video for $300,000, right? I mean,
Yeah, that
three
those days
hundred
are long gone.
bands don't have a $300,000 budget for the entire record and everything that goes with it over 2 years, let alone one video. So it's a very different place right now. And like I said, it's good and bad. You know, bands that wouldn't normally get noticed uh or get recognized now are because there's a platform to do that, and that's awesome. We're seeing some awesome bands come through, but at the same time, there's also thousands of bands right now, so it's hard to kind of sift through all of it, right?
Yeah,
We're kind of
yeah, it is hard.
almost
I listen to too
overexposed.
much.
Yeah, we're overexposed to it, right? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of bands out there, and everybody can make a video and everybody can record now, and and there's nothing wrong with that. It's great, but it's like to navigate through and then cut through that and to be a band that can get some notoriety and make a difference. It's hard. And you got to be good, right? I mean, fans see through bullshit too. I mean, that's it. They see through shit. I mean, I don't care if all of us were in 5 different bands before. If the product wasn't good and the music wasn't good, people do not give a shit.
Right.
They just don't care. They're like, "Hey, supergroup, yay! I mean, you guys suck when you play together." It's like, you know what I mean? Like they don't, people don't care. They're very, very, very quick and great, right? People know their music, they know what they like, they know good, and that's great too. It's not they're not being force fed, and they can choose not to listen to it. So we're very lucky that people kind of relate to lyric content and relate to what we're trying to do, which is phenomenal.
Yep, you got to find that sweet spot, and
Yep.
I think you guys have nailed it. So,
Yep.
are there any newer bands that kind of capture your attention?
It was interesting. I was chatting with an interviewer the other day too, and I was talking about a couple bands. Just ran like so. I'll do a random music search, like in a sense of like I like to go down a rabbit hole on Spotify too, and some of it's through uh friends' recommendations or people kind of let me know stuff. Like there's an indie band that a kid we kind of know called Blanket, just kind of totally different vibe there. A band called Tova, which is kind of just again random kind of interactions on Instagram through people I know, and very up and coming UK band. Kind of got this English rap metal vibe with a bit of Bring Me the Horizon vibe to it. Totally different kind of to it. A couple tunes there. One called Fear, I think is very cool. So like I love to try and just find like Cody Johnson, right? Random country artist. The tune he has is called The Painter, and it just kind of talks to my life a little bit. And finding, it's like kind of finding out somebody that you've been looking for your entire life, and obviously everything being black and white, and they're the one that managed to paint that picture for you. So, like I say, my musical taste is all over the space, and it's just a lot of it's around mood for me. There's a lot of it's around like when I'm vibing, but I may go through like 3 days of thrash into half a day of country into something, but kind of that helps me artistically just kind of just absorb ideas and concepts and everything else too. So it's a lot of mood based for me, to be honest. You know what I mean? I'm all over the place. So
Absolutely, me too.
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Did you like? What's your perspective on the if you listen to the new versus the old album? What's your take on it?
on the first album,
First album versus second, like the evolution. What's your overall take on it?
just I mean, I'm just excited. Period. Like I think the first album was already so strong. And that's why I was saying earlier, like you kind of counteracted it with you were still trying to find the sound, but like it was already so strong from the start. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine from here on out, album 2, 3, 4, that you're gonna find uh, somehow you're gonna find better grooves, better melodies, heavier riffs, better solos, breakdowns, all that, but it already just it started so strong. So to have a debut
Awesome.
album be that good, and then what's coming out in the very near future, yeah, I hope everyone loves it, and I hope that a lot of new fans come along, and I'm sure that they will, because there's no reason why you guys wouldn't be blowing up. you know.
Yeah, and for us, it's just it's not great that would be amazing. We'd be very excited about that. I think it's just the key thing is for people to relate to it, and when people start relating and feeling it, that's when bands. It's not about being popular; it's about having fans connect with you. Is really what it is, right? So, if it's 100 fans, cool. If it's 10,000 fans, even better. Like it's about like if you get it, you get it. You know what I mean? I think that's what we're excited about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You guys deserve it for sure.
Sweet.
Well, James, I want to thank you for your time,
Yeah, appreciate it.
and I appreciate you. And I look forward to the new album. It's sitting in my inbox, so.
Awesome. Sweet.
But I'm also going to buy it because physical
Yeah,
copy.
that's good. Got a lot of physical copies. It's my favorite thing. So awesome. Well, thanks very much. Have yourself a great day.
Absolutely, James. Take care, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. Bye.